Hello, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I am going to make a video on reviewing this book, The Myth of Sisyphus by Albert Camus. So let's start the video. This book is very interesting. It deals with the philosophical question of suicide. Is suicide right or wrong? And I am using the S word. I don't want to get censored by the YouTube, so maybe I will use the philosophical question. I won't use this word again, but the philosophical question this book deals with is life worth living or not? And there are many subtexts to this one question. First is life worth living? Then the second is what makes life worth living? And third is that if you live a life, then what is the way to live life? First question is life worth living? So the answer is yes. By Albert Camus' book, The Myth of Sisyphus, the answer is yes, that life is worth living. So it is not a book that promotes philosophy that is against life or living. It is a very pro-living book. It could be existential philosophy, but it has a different take on it. Then the second question deals with why is life worth living? So this question, when people answer this question, that why is life worth living, they make it about meaning. And Albert Camus discussed this aspect, that a meaningless life is worth living or not, because when he asked this question to himself or to other people, that what makes life worth living, everyone answers that if you have a meaning in life, then you can live life or you can enjoy living life, and meaning makes life worth living. So Albert Camus says that this idea that a meaning gives, you have to find meaning to live life, or you have to have a grand purpose to live life, is a myth, or is not a complete idea. Because what happens when you find meaning? So sometimes we find meaning and we live life, and that has a very good connotation to it, that yes, I lived in a pursuit of something meaningful. But sometimes we search for meaning, and we just lose ourselves in the journey, and we don't live or enjoy life. And sometimes we don't find meaning, and then we decided to not live. So most of the time when people search for meaning, two things happen. One is that they find meaning, or the other thing that will happen is that they couldn't find meaning. So Albert Camus is talking to the second type of person. When they search for meaning, they don't find it. They don't find this life grand or meaningful or purposeful. So when something like this happens to you, how to deal with this phenomena? So in this book, in this chapters, Albert Camus trying to deduce this idea of meaning. So he says that a meaningful life is worth living, but life is worth living regardless of you find meaning or not. And to deal this idea, he introduces a concept called absurdism. So what is absurd? So Albert Camus introduces a concept of absurd in this book. So what is absurd? So he says that when people go on to these journeys of finding meaning, they find something else. They find the absurd. So what is the absurd? It is a phenomenon where people discover that universe is indifferent to them, or universe is immoral, or universe is chaos. Like the universe itself has no grand purpose. Universe is just existing, and it's just there, and it's random, and it's chaotic, and nothing in this universe is for some grand or highest purpose. And this can be seen in very Albert Camus has used various authors and philosophers to describe this phenomena, but one example which is not in this book but is collectively resonates with this kind of idea that is that a person was looking for, like, what is the purpose of meaning, and he found enlightenment. Like he went on this journey and he meditated and he find enlightenment. And we think that when he found enlightenment, and we when he found that he is connected to everybody and everybody is living breathing consciousness, so awakening happened, and after this his life will be much better. But this doesn't happen. When he finds that his life and his meaning all is just illusion, he breaks apart, and he don't want to, like, live in a world where everything is illusion and maya. And he refuses this kind of enlightenment and choose to live life in which everything he does is real. And he refuses this idea that life or all this, like, world is an illusion. So in that moment when he find enlightenment, he also discovered the absurd. uh, the absurd is that everything in the world is an illusion. It's chaos, it has no grand purpose, it is just there. And when you find absurd, you find suffering for the first time. Like everything you do, whatever do or whatever purpose you do, it has no grand meaning, purpose, or any similar connotation to it. So, after finding the absurd, people do two things. First, either they reject it because it is so uh, painful for the mind to accept that universe is indifferent to them, or universe is immoral or chaotic, or like there is no one that is looking for them. So they reject this kind of notion, and they, like, go on to live their normal lives. And second is that they don't live life, or they choose not to live further. When they find that life is no meaning, they choose not to go on with it. And here Albert Camus deals with the main question, that is life worth living if people find it so meaningless and also full of suffering. So he says yes, the absurd is not like the absurd is encompasses many things. It is meaninglessness, it is suffering, it is everything that makes person want to turn away from life. It is hopelessness, it is everything that can cause you to turn away from life is the absurd, is the embodiment of absurd. And when you see it, it is painful, and you can't go back and unsee it. Many tries, but they become unsuccessful, so you can't unsee it. So Albert Camus says that when you find absurd, then you have to revolt against it. That uh, then you have to say to yourself that universe is indifferent to me, this life is indifferent to me, or even if life is meaningless, I will live life to the fullest. I will live life without meaning, or I will not live life for a meaning, but I will just live life and I will enjoy living. So I find this idea very fascinating. I think that Albert Camus is most like for life philosopher, because he talks about life that you have to live in present moment, and you have to live for life itself. You don't have to live for meaning or anything abstract. You have to live for life itself, and you have to make your own journey, and without any restriction that it has to be grand purpose, or it has to be this kind of thing. It has just live. So just live is very simple, yet when he says it, or the books describe its living as this very phenomena that you do as a revolt against universe. This universe is making you think that you don't matter, or life is just a kind of hopelessness and meaninglessness. And even then you say to the universe or to the absurd that I choose to live, and I choose to live happily regardless of how my life turn out to be, or how things are, or how situations are. So so to describe this in a beautiful way, he takes an example of the absurd hero. So, who is the absurd hero? So, the absurd hero in this book is a Greek person. I don't know if he was a god or not, but his name is Sisyphus, and he has committed some sins against gods, and for it he was punished to live a life in which he has to take a boulder from down to up a hill, and the boulder, when he went to the top, the boulder will fall down automatically, and has to live it this life again and again every day. Like he has this punishment for eternity, that he have to roll a boulder uphill, and when the boulder reaches the top, then the boulder will fall down, and he will have to do this endless and meaningless task again and again for the rest of the life. So God gave this work to Sisyphus as a punishment, as an eternal meaningless life. This punishment was given to make him suffer, and there is no doubt, like in anyone's head, that this is a suffering. To do this kind of work day in and day out is really can make anyone give up on all happiness, joy, and turn, like, I don't know what kind of person he will turn into uh, when when given this meaningless task. But he says that the absurd hero finds this task joyful, and joyful not as in like it is very meaningful task. He doesn't delude himself into thinking that this is a very meaningful task, or there is some higher purpose for my suffering. He just enjoys it, the task itself, and he enjoys the rebellion against the god. Like the god wanted to make him suffer by doing this kind of miserable work, but he is happy, and that is kind of in a success itself when he is rolling the boulder uphill day by day. So he is happy as in rebellion against this absurd phenomena. So Sisyphus is the absurd hero that is in the Myth of Sisyphus, Albert Camus, and he finds joy, happiness in this meaningless task of rolling a boulder uphill, and his meaningless punishment. And there are few more chapters in which uh, the Albert Camus has taken reference from many authors and tried to explain that where the meaning ends, then life can start. Like there is no correlation. He tries to deny the correlation between meaning and living. He wants you to think that you can live a happy life even if you don't find any grand meaning, and even if you are suffering, you can find this meaning in this rebellion itself. Like you so in a way he is giving a meaning to the meaninglessness, like a rebellion to the meaninglessness of life and suffering, a rebellion against the absurd. He wants you to face this absurdity that life is, and he wants you to live every moment, every day, by understanding this, that there is no grand purpose and you can do whatever you want. So you should do like whatever you want and enjoy and continue to live regardless. So how does this concept we can apply in modern times? So I find Myth of Sisyphus very interesting. It is my favorite book, and it is a relevant book today because everything we do today is kind of we want to find meaning, but everything we do today is so uh, is in so grander scale that our contribution feels like insignificant, and sometimes we don't have a contribution to the significant things that are happening in our world. And we sometimes we don't even enjoy little things, small things. So there is absurd, we face absurd every day in modern life. We face this absurdity that why we are going to school, then why we are going to work, then why we are marrying. Everything that we do to live life is a kind of big question mark in modern life. And so this book becomes very relevant. It wants you to live and enjoy the little moments that are coming in way. And I think Sisyphus is the hero, but our life is not Sisyphus life. And when we roll a boulder uphill, for the most of the time it will be there, I think. And even if we fall down, we can roll it back uphill. So we, uh, Albert Camus just wants you to breathe for a moment and think that even if you don't find any grand purpose and meaning to life, it's okay. Everyone is living a normal life. This universe is just there to like me give you experience of what life is, and just live life for living itself. Don't matlab, he doesn't want you to think that life is for meaning. He wants you to think like life is for living. You have to live life to live it fully. If you have meaning, that I think is a cherry on top. But even if you don't find it a grand purpose to do anything, just do things for the fun of it, or for experiencing it, or for enjoying it, and you will be very happy, and you will be like the absurd hero. You will become the absurd hero that Albert Camus is talking about. So yeah, this was the whole overview of the Myth of Sisyphus. So what is my take? I think I have like expressed my opinion on the book, and if I have made some mistakes, so forgive me for it. And if you like this video, please write in comments if you liked my explanation and wants more of it. And I would like want to give you some other information about this book. So the language of the Myth of Sisyphus is very heavy, and like it is a philosophical book, and the author, I think, want to address other philosophers of his time. So he had written a very compact book. It is a small book but very heavy, and not easy to understand, because he has taken reference from work of other writers, that if you haven't read the writers, you won't understand the book completely. So I would recommend you to watch what is absurd philosophy, or any other videos on absurdism, to completely understand what is absurdism. And because the life we live today is very absurd. I would completely agree with Albert Camus that we live a absurd life today. So try to find like joy in living itself and joy in doing small things, and we find meaning in even simple tasks. So I don't think that Albert Camus is totally taking the meaning away from life. He's just want to denounce that we have to find a great purpose, but I think he wants you to find joy in simple things and joy in rebellion against suffering, and find happiness in any situation. it can it feels simple and complex at the same time. Like I find that it gives a vibe of meaninglessness, but it has also a vibe of meaning in it. Like it has a sense of rebellion that I won't suffer, I will enjoy my life, no matter what happens, or what the situation comes. So it is a meaningful philosophy at the end, I think, and it is a living philosophy. It wants to you to live life, experience life, and live to live life, and live in every moment and enjoy every moment. So what are, if you have read this book, what are your thoughts about it? Share in the comments, and like and subscribe if you like the video. See you in the next review video.